everyone, welcome back. Today's video is a little bit different but definitely useful and very practical for your kitchen needs. If you're new around here, my name is Jessica, and here at Homebody Eats we live for everything that is about food. So today I hope that I can inspire you to get in the kitchen and cook up your next big adventure. We're actually going to be talking about kitchen essentials that everyone needs in order to cook and feel like they're prepared to conquer their next meal in the kitchen. Now, a lot of these items are things that if you're already well established, you probably already have in your kitchen. So this video is going to be geared more towards people who have either moved into their first home or first apartment, or for people who are looking to get stocked up in their kitchen so they can learn to cook a little bit better. So think about this video as your roadmap for all of the tools and gadgets that you need in the kitchen in order to succeed. We're going to be going through a list of different categories of main items that I think are good in any kitchen, and we'll kind of talk through each of those items and if you're on a budget, how to save a little bit of money there. So stick around, this is going to be a good one. Now before we get started, one thing that you're going to want to do is go in the description below and grab my link for your free kitchen supply checklist. Now this is a checklist I've designed that's going to have everything that we're going to talk about today in the checklist. And it'll be super nice because once you get that checklist delivered straight to your email, you'll be able to go into your kitchen and take inventory of what you already have versus what you need. So start there. As a note, most of what we talk about here today is from Amazon, and I did that to make it easy if you're moving and you need to throw everything into your Amazon cart and just have it shipped straight to your new apartment or new house. It'll be super easy to do that. Of course, if you have other stores that you like to shop at, feel free to do so. These are just my recommendations for the things that I love on Amazon. I'll be sure to link a lot of my favorite tools in the description box below, but for the complete list, make sure to check out my blog post on homebodyeats.com for everything that you'll need and direct links. Alright, now first things first is tableware. If you already have a kitchen established, these are probably things that you have. Things like plates, glasses, silverware, steak knives. But if you don't have a kitchen established, this is my #1 recommendation and your place to start. I recommend getting about a set of 8 plates, and you do this so that way if one breaks, you still have others left over, or if you're hosting people, you know that you have a complete set of 8 to seat people. Now, tableware is a little bit of an investment, but it's totally worth it. My suggestion is to get plates and bowls that you like and plan on using for at least 5 years. Now they don't have to be your forever dishes, but get something that's neutral in color that won't go out of style right away and that you know you'll like for a few years since you are investing money in it. Now if you're on a budget and you're looking for something that is a little cheaper in price range, try checking out the different sites such as Facebook Marketplace or even chatting with your family and friends to see if they have old dishes that they no longer use. This will be helpful, especially if you're on a budget and you just need something to kind of get you by. And if you have more of an eclectic style, it could also be fun to mix and match different colors and plates that still coordinate and have a complete set that way. So moving right along, the next section is my what I call non-negotiable section. Everybody, I repeat everybody, needs a good chef's knife in their kitchen. This is one of my most used tools in the kitchen, and I think it's something that really helps you become a good chef in the kitchen. I'm going to link 2 of my favorite chef's knives below. Usually you'll spend about $35 to $60 on a good chef's knife. I'll link a cheaper option just in case you need that. And I also recommend picking up a honing steel, which will help sharpen and straighten your knife in between each use. The key to having a good chef's knife is making sure that you're also taking care of it, so never put it in the dishwasher, always hand wash, and of course, sharpen in between each use. Up next we have our pots and pans sections. Now, truth be told, most people probably have more pots and pans than they actually use on a daily basis. I would say that throughout most of my cooking, I really only use 3 pans 90% of the time. So before you invest in lots of different pots and pans, my suggestion is to sit down and think strategically about what you most often cook in your kitchen and what pots and pans would help throughout that cooking process. Doing this will not only help you save money, but it'll also help you make sure that you have ample room in your kitchen for all the supplies you need. So let me walk you through some examples to get you starting to think about what pots and pans would best serve you and your needs in your kitchen. So one of my number one tools is my cast iron skillet. I love it. I think it's very versatile for a lot of different reasons. Some common things that you cook in cast iron skillets include eggs, bacon, paninis. You can also use cast irons to get a nice sear on lots of different proteins. And a perk of the cast iron skillet is that you can use it directly on the stove and then put it directly into the oven. Another one of my staple pans is my Dutch oven. Now I found that not a lot of people have these, but they are a really good and versatile tool. So you can use your Dutch oven to cook different things such as soups or chilies. I find that I use it kind of in replacement of a stock pot very often. You could also make macaroni, homemade bread, braised short ribs, and this is also going to be good if you need to sear different types of proteins. I also love this because once again, you can put it directly from your stove to your oven. I also recommend having a good nonstick frying pan in your tools. This is going to be helpful for any dishes that tend to stick to the bottom of your pan. So think if you're making fish or something cheesy, eggs, omelets, these are all going to be perfect to cook in your nonstick frying pan. In my blog post, I'll also link some options for a saucepan and a saute pan and their different uses, so go check that out and the link will be in the description below. As for pans, there are two main types of pans that most people should have in their kitchen. First up is the half sheet pan, and this is going to be used to bake cookies, pizzas, roast veggies, lots of different uses and very versatile. You'll also probably want a 9x13 dish, which is good for cakes, enchiladas, anything that needs a larger side on the baking pan in order for it not to spill over. Up next, we need to talk about prep tools. Now, this part of the kitchen supply list is probably the most inclusive and the most amount of items. Similar to the advice I gave earlier, I suggest that you only buy the items that you know you're going to use frequently. The good thing about these prep items is that they are basics that you're going to need in your kitchen, but they're going to last a long time. So just make sure that you take care of the things that you buy, and they should last you for several years. So then once you make your initial investment, you'll only really need to replace items as they go bad or if they break. Now, if you need to save money, my biggest suggestion is kind of prioritizing what you need. You're not going to need all of these items right away, so buy maybe your top 3 or top 5 items that you know you're going to use and need right away. Then wait until you either see sales or you have a coupon. I know we all love that 20% off Bed Bath & Beyond coupon. And if you're a college student, you can even look for savings around the time of when school starts. Lots of different places have coupons specifically for college students that need to stock up on their first apartment. So some examples of prep tools include measuring cups, a cutting board, mixing bowls, or even a meat thermometer. Now, meat thermometer is one that I like to kind of harp on. It's one of my favorite tools, and if you're used to eating dried chicken, you need a meat thermometer. This is going to help you cook all of your proteins to the perfect internal temperatures so you never have to worry about eating a dry or overcooked piece of meat again. The list also includes things like a colander, a vegetable peeler, a cheese grater, and even a can opener. So again, make sure that you have your email checklist so you can go and inventory and see what you will use, and make sure to highlight those pieces on your checklist. Next up, we have our category of utensils. These are things such as tongs, wooden spoons, or spatulas. You're probably going to use these items almost every time you're in the kitchen. But don't worry, you're not going to spend a lot of money on these because these tend to be the things that will break easily just because you're using them all the time. Depending on how much you cook, I'd even suggest buying a couple spatulas or having a few different types of wooden spoons on hand just so you're not washing constantly. So next we're going to talk about storage, and storage containers are super important to have in the kitchen because most of us, when we cook, either have leftovers or have different sauces or things that we need to store in containers. Now, my favorite containers are these glass containers that I'm going to link below, and the reason they're my favorite is because they are super high quality and they also work really, really well functionally. Now, my two favorite things about these are, one, the glass doesn't stain, and I know we've all brought spaghetti in a container and then our container is forever stained red, and it makes me so mad. The other piece that I love about these containers is that the lid has a nice seal, so if you want to bring soup or something liquidy to lunch for work or for school, you don't have to worry about the items leaking. Now these glass containers are arguably a little bit more pricey than you may be wanting to spend, but I've had mine for almost 3 years and they've stood up really, really well. I've only had a few of the glass containers have a little chip or a little piece of the lid kind of crack off, but other than that, most of them have stayed in really good condition. Now, if you need to save money, you can obviously always opt for Rubbermaid containers, but I would suggest long-term making sure that you buy some of these. You won't be disappointed. Up next, we have our advanced section of tools, and I wanted to divide these out from our kitchen basics in order to differentiate that not everybody needs these. I would really only recommend these advanced tools for people who are in the kitchen 4 to 5 times a week. They're for people who love to cook, try different recipes, and probably need the variety of kitchen tools in their arsenal. So let me break down a little bit more about these tools. So I have a wok on my list, which is great for anybody who loves cooking international or Asian cuisine. I also have a microplane, which is great if you use a lot of fresh citrus or fresh spices that you can grate into your dishes. I've also included a blender or food processor in this section, and I know most people probably own a blender, but I wanted to make sure you know that a blender is not necessary unless you know that you're going to use it multiple times a week. Blenders do tend to be expensive, so really I suggest only investing in this tool if you know you're going to use it a lot. Up next, let's chat for a little bit about small kitchen appliances. Now, I don't know if it's just me, but it almost seems like there's a new small kitchen appliance out almost every month. So for me, the small kitchen appliances are kind of controversial because they honestly take up a lot of space in our kitchen. So here's my number one rule. For me to invest in a kitchen appliance, I have to A, know that I'm going to use it, and B, it has to function in multiple ways. So let me give you an example. For my crock pot, I know that I'm going to not only use it to cook meals that need to meld and cook all day, but I'm also going to use it when I'm hosting parties and need to keep a dish warm for hours at a time. Some of my other favorite small kitchen appliances include an Instant Pot, as well as my air fryer that also serves as a toaster oven and convection oven. The Instant Pot, I didn't know what all the hype was about at first, but I've slowly learned to love my Instant Pot. It's an electric pressure cooker that cooks things really, really quickly. So you can make anything from steel cut oats to a whole roasted chicken to even frozen chicken in a matter of sometimes even minutes. It also serves as a rice cooker and a yogurt maker, which maybe functions that you haven't ever tried before. But this one really is a good investment if you're looking for a multi-purpose small kitchen appliance. One of our favorite small kitchen appliances in my house is our air fryer toaster oven combo. Now, the air fryers have been all the rage lately, and for a good reason. We really do love making food in our air fryer, but for me, having just an air fryer that's small and doesn't really make a lot of food doesn't make sense. So we opted for our toaster oven, convection oven, and air fryer combo. And it's a great tool. Even though it takes up a lot of space, it's multifunctional and we use it pretty much every day. So I'm going to link all 3 of my favorite small kitchen appliances in the description box below so you can check them out. If you're looking to save money, the small kitchen appliances probably aren't your first priority on your kitchen supply list. So save those for when your parents are asking you for a Christmas gift recommendation or you find a really good sale on Black Friday. Now, I know that some of you probably love to bake just as much as I do, so I wanted to include a baking basics list in this kitchen supply checklist. Now, this is going to be for people who bake multiple times a month, not just like, oh, I bake Christmas cookies once a year. You probably don't need to spend the money to invest in these if you're only going to use them one time a year. If you're an avid baker, some of my baking recommendations include a hand mixer, which is a lot cheaper than the expensive KitchenAid mixers that everybody wants. I know they're pretty, but they're also really pricey, so a hand mixer is going to be a good, cheaper option that still works perfectly. I also recommend a kitchen scale, and this is going to be good for any recipes that require you to weigh the ingredients instead of measuring them with a cup. And then I also suggest getting a variety of pans, so some 8-inch round baking pans, maybe a muffin tin, and for sure some cooling racks to use for when your baked goods come out of the oven. My multifunction rule still is applicable for baking basics, so let me give you a quick example of how you can take one baking tool and use it for multiple ways in your kitchen. So a lot of us have cookie scoops, and we think obviously we use them for making cookies the same size so they all bake evenly. But they're also going to be really good if you need to make homemade meatballs, if you need to use it as a melon baller, or even if you're making chocolate truffles, or scooping your batter into muffins or cupcake tins. So honestly, we just need to take advantage of these tools that we have in our kitchen and see how many different ways we can get creative and use them multiple times. Now, last but certainly not least is our entertaining basics section. And this is for anybody who loves to host people in their home and needs a lot of different tools in order to make dinner parties successful. So first up, I always suggest a serving tray. This can be used to make a pretty cheese board, to serve your drinks on, or even just to make a good centerpiece in your table. I also recommend having a set of 8 wine glasses. These can not only be used for wine, but they could also be used for water, mocktails, cocktails, you name it. And then you're also going to want to have a pitcher, and this will be good for self-serve drink stations. So anytime I have guests over, I always like to have a pitcher of water or a pitcher of cocktails that guests can use and self-serve on their own. And then of course, you'll want to think about when you serve dinner what you actually need. So if you entertain a lot, I suggest finding some white neutral plates and serving platters that you can use to serve dinner in. You'll also want to make sure to pick up some serving utensils to make your life a little bit easier. Now, I know that was a lot of information, and I hope that you found this helpful, especially if you're stocking up your first apartment or first home kitchen. So let's kind of go over what needs to happen next. Now that you've watched this video, I definitely suggest going in the description box below and pulling up my blog post. It's going to have everything that we talked about linked, and like I said earlier, you can put it directly into your Amazon cart and click buy and forget about it. It's really that easy. So first things first, make sure that you've grabbed your kitchen supply checklist, and that will again be sent straight to your email. And once you've done that, go in your kitchen and inventory what you have. You may even want to call your family up and see who has kitchen items laying around that they're no longer using. And that way you know exactly what items you still have left to buy for your kitchen. If there are any other kitchen basics that you suggest or you use a lot in your kitchen, I would love to hear about them. Please feel free to throw them in the comments below and let's chat about it. As always, thanks for sticking around and watching this video. I hope that you learned something, and I can't wait to see what your kitchens look like. See you later.